everybody, and welcome to the 50th episode of the MyMuddlings podcast. We made it to 50, guys. So yes, here I am. I'm not dead. I am still here. I have had a lot of things happen in the last few weeks. I have been very busy, and the podcast kind of took a bit of a slide, as you probably have all noticed. So yeah, I'll probably talk a bit about that a little bit later. But yeah, I don't really know what I want to start with today. I have had quite a few new subscribers, which is very, very exciting. And thank you for subscribing and joining along with us. And I'm so glad that you are here. It's so wonderful to have you. And if you are a new subscriber, please know that there is a MyMuddlings podcast Ravelry group. So if you are on Ravelry, you can head over there and join the group and trying to get some more chatter going. I've left it a little bit neglected, I guess you could say, for a little while, but I did head over this morning and I've updated a couple of threads and I've started some new threads, and I've also started a new thread and invited a bunch of people. So if you've had a random invite from me to join my Lovebird Lane Yarns Ravelry group as well. So I do have that as well for my hand-dyed yarns. So please do go and join in there as well. I'd love to see what you're making out of my yarn. And I guess I can get on to a little bit of housekeeping. We are still running our stash down along over in the MyMuddlings Ravelry group. I must say I've kind of run out of steam a little bit on there. I did get on there the other day and tote up everybody's yardage, and I've popped you all in a spreadsheet so that I can convert you from yards to meters and that kind of thing, just so I can make sure we're all on the level playing field. A couple of you are blasting it. Congratulations, well done. I will talk about it a little bit later in my finished objects. I've just finished something that I can actually include on there once I get some photos of it. So I'm back in the game, and as an exciting little bonus, and to see if we can get some more people catching up, perhaps maybe you've let it slide a little bit as well, same as me, and you'd like to catch up. I am doing a very special bonus for November and December, so anything that you complete within those months that is using your stash yarn as you need to have for the knit along. So anything that was in your stash prior to the 1st of January 2017 is eligible. So whatever you complete between the start of November and the end of December, when the knit along finishes, you can count double yardage. So if you've been flagging behind and you want to really get your yardage up, because remember, whoever finishes with the most yardage wins one of the grand prizes. I will have two, one will be randomly drawn. So yeah, if you want to jump in and try and boost your yardage right at the end, you can count all of your yardage doubled for November and December. So there you go. It's another incentive to try and get your yardage up. I do have two prizes to give away for September and October. What I might do is I haven't drawn them yet. I don't even know what they are yet. But one of them, I believe, will probably be a pattern from ARAN of Remade by Hand Designs. One of her, probably Dormancy, which is the one that I will be showing you in my FOs. It'll be one of those patterns, and probably a pattern of the winner's choice, I would imagine. But I'll put up I'll put it up on the screen who are the winners and what they have won right now. So there we go. Congratulations if you were a winner. Sorry I wasn't more organised and I couldn't announce your name on the podcast, but please do get in touch with me when you see the podcast and let me know that you were one of our winners, and I will arrange to get your patterns off to you. So I think that was all that I needed to talk about. So I think I could probably move on from that. I will maybe just touch right now on something that I've been thinking about for our make-along for next year. I don't think I'm going to be going for the full year next year, because I noticed that I have lost my steam a little bit. I probably was really good up until July, so about 6 months is probably about as far as I can go with, I guess, hosting a, a long-term knit-along of any kind. But I've been thinking about for next year, and one of the things that I really, really want to achieve next year is to become more monogamous with my knitting, which is something that I've been talking about for a very long time anyway. But yes, I would like to basically get down to having perhaps a sock whip and one major whip, and that being all that I have on my needles. So my thoughts for a knit along for the first half of 2018 is to whip it good, and yes, get all of those things that are on the needles either off the needles by frogging them or by completing them. So yeah, that's what I am intending to do for the first half of the year. I think I have, let me think, I think I've got like 15 or so projects currently in some stage of being made, and yeah, I'd like to get them all done and to be able to actually complete things, because I noticed this year as well my knitted yardage, I do track how much I have knit out of my completed projects only. So as soon as something is completed, I add it to my knit meter tally. And I noticed this year was quite a bit down from last year. I think I had about 25,000 yards last year. This year I think I'm hovering around just under 16,000. So it's quite a bit of a difference. So clearly I've not been completing things as much as I should have been this year. So that's what I want to get onto next year, because I know some people love having lots of whips, and if that's the case, then this knit along probably isn't for you. But me personally, I get really stressed out by having too many things in various stages of completion, and it's the same for my sewing as well. I still have my basket down on the ground here that I can see in my craft room, with all of the partial finished, not half finished, but just partial finished sewing projects that I just haven't finished yet. So, and that stresses me out, seeing that big overflowing basket that I can barely lift because it's so heavy. So yes, I want to try and get all of these whips done for next year. Obviously the sewing whips will not count for my make along on Ravelry, because you know Ravelry's for yarn and that kind of thing. So yeah, that will still be happening. So that's what I'm thinking for my knit along next year. I have opened a thread in the MyMuddlings Ravelry group to hear your thoughts. So please head on over there and let me know if you'd like to participate, or if you think I'm crazy getting rid of all of my whips. Yeah, please do let me know. I'd love to hear what you think. So yeah, I guess I can get on to some knitting and I can talk to you about what I've been working on. Okay, so the first project that I have to talk about is some socks. Too much caffeine. So these were my Lorna's Laces Soulmate yarn socks, and these are just my generic vanilla sock, very, very boring. 64 stitch, 2.5 needle, 2.5 mil needles, or US 1.5. They're my high sharps. I like to use the 9-inch circulars. I really can't talk, can I? So yeah, I finished my second one, so now I have a pair. I have yet to wear these because A, the weather is heating up quite a bit here. It's quite warm today. I probably will start to glisten as I'm sitting here doing this podcast, but also because I wanted to keep them nice and pristine to show all of you. So there's my two Soulmate socks. I won't blather on too much more about them because I do have a lot to get through today, because I haven't podcasted since the end of September. It is now, what, 10th of November? 11th of November? 10th, I think. I don't even know what day it is. That's what happens when you work at home. You don't have to write the date too often. So yeah, that's my socks. They are done. These do not count for the stash down along, but they do count for my knit meter. So now these can get folded and get put away for next winter probably. Yeah. So the next on my list is actually some crochet. I have been doing a little bit of amigurumi crochet, and I made this little guy. He's going to slip out of my fingers. And this little guy is called Frank, and he is a pattern by, now I'm not 100% sure how to say this, but I think it's La Li La La, and that is Lydia Tresselt. And I got these patterns on Ravelry, but she does also sell them on Etsy, and they come as a set of 3. So this is one of her 4 seasons patterns, and from the Halloween set. So I bought the Halloween set. I bought quite a few of her patterns actually. So yeah, this is Frank, and he's super cute. He's a little Frankenstein's monster, and got his little bolts. I really love his little bolts. I think that's such a cute sort of attention to detail. And yeah, the hair actually was really fun because I've never done that before. It's basically you crochet into the row or 2 below. I can't remember how many rows below. Yeah, 1 row below. So it creates kind of that little shaggy edge. And I was thinking when I was crocheting him, if I left off the bolts and the little scar, he probably would be like quite a cute little Hulk amigurumi toy, so Hulk smash. So yeah, I thought that would be pretty cute. But yeah, I crocheted him just on a whim the other day. It's probably a couple of weeks ago now, but yeah, I had some, what was it called? Motivera Silk and Soft, which is a cotton and silk blend. So that's what I've used for his pants and the green. The top, his hair is 4 Seasons Stallion, which is just an acrylic, and same, I think it might even be 4 Seasons Marvel for his bolts. So yeah, I really enjoyed crocheting him. He was super fun, and I just think he's really cute. So yeah, how much did I use on him? I only used 58 yards on him, so he didn't take up too much yarn, and he's only quite small. I didn't make a huge one. The Silk and Soft is a 5 ply, so a sport weight yarn, I believe, and the acrylics that I used are 8 ply, so you know, they're pretty close. So I didn't want to worry about, you know, using them together. But yes, so that is Frank, and I love him, and he's so cute. I also want to do, there was another pattern in this set called Brian, and he is like a zombie, and he has like his head chopped off, and you actually crochet his brain, which looks super fun. Looks slightly complicated, but does look super fun. So Brian might be joining Frank at some stage. But yeah, it's my little bit of crochet for this episode. Next up is some knitting. Now this was a test knit that I started talking to you all about in my last episode, and it was a test knit for ARAN of Remade by Hand Designs, and this was her dormancy wrap. So I finally got it finished. I got it squeaked in just under the line, and I haven't actually been able to take any photos modelled of it yet, because I lost my remote for my phone, my selfie remote. So yeah, I've had to order a new one, because as you will probably know, we moved in August, so some things got misplaced in that whole episode of moving. So yeah, my remote I think was one of them. So I haven't been able to take a photo of me. Simon thinks he's seen the remote, but I don't know where it is. He reckons he's seen it. He can't tell me where he saw it, but he reckons he's seen it. But yeah, anyway, this is a very large wrap. I'll fold it in half so that you can see just the half of it. And it is a lace and just an eyelet lace and stockinette and garter stitch wrap. So it's pointy on the ends, as you can see there, and it's like, I was really confused when I was knitting this as to how it all joined together, because I knew that we did 2 halves and then they got joined somehow in the middle, and I thought they were actually just seamed, and I couldn't quite figure out how you got the shape in the middle if they were seamed. But the way it works is you do your 2 halves and then you pick up all the stitches and you knit in the round and decrease. So that is how you get this super cool center. And yeah, I'm not hugely, I don't love the way, where is it? Just in here, how it came together, because it is a bit of a little nipple, I guess you could say. Yeah, so I'm not super keen on, I have blocked it. I didn't block it really hard because I don't have blocking wires or mats or anything like that. So pretty much anything that I block gets washed and then stretched out on a towel or my bed, as this was, because it's so big. And that's about it. It doesn't get really pulled. But I mean, the yarn overs have opened up sufficiently. But yeah, I'm just not super happy with that little middle bit where they because basically it's kind of like the top of a hat where you thread the yarn through the last stitches and pull it tight. And I just feel like perhaps the stitches were a little loose to begin with, which is not the pattern's fault, that's my fault. But yeah, this is my yarn. I knit this from my yarn. It is the Mystic Colourway on my PEACHFACE fingering base. And I am super happy with this colourway. I love it so much. And I alternated 2 skeins as I went on this because the crazy thing was, although the 2 skeins of yarn that I used were dyed in the same pot at exactly the same time, one came out quite pale and more of a silvery blue, whereas the other one came out with more of the purple flecks in it. So yeah, it was definitely a must that I alternated skeins, because if I use one ball for one side, one ball for the other side, I would have had a, you know, darker blue purple side, and then I would have had a silvery blue side, so that was not going to work. I don't particularly mind alternating skeins. I tend to do it a lot when I need more than one skein for any particular project, so it wasn't really something that bothered me. So yeah, that's my dormancy wrap. I used 920 odd yards, I think, 919 yards on that one. So sorry that I keep bending over this side. It's because my iPad's over there, and because, you know, I'm blind, I can't actually look over and see. So yeah, 919 yards, which I think was about 840 meters, I think. So I've still got a fair amount of this yarn left. So yeah, I was pretty happy with that. I obviously haven't worn it yet because it is warm. Yeah, it's actually quite warm for October, which is, you know, spring. Even November is still spring, I think, technically. Yeah, we have had quite a bit of warm days. Like, I haven't been able to wear socks, hand knit socks, or I mean, the only time I wear socks is when I go walking with the dog, which is every weekday morning. So yeah, it's the only time I wear socks, and they're usually ankle socks, and then they get peeled off as soon as I get home because it's just been too hot for socks. So yeah, I don't know whether we're unseasonably warm, although I do feel like winter this year was a lot warmer than usual, so which is not great for wearing knitwear. Darn climate change. So, but that's a whole nother political discussion which we won't get into here because this is about yarn and craftiness. So yeah, that's my second FO. The last one that I have is actually a gift that I've been knitting for a very long time for my mum. And this is the Morning Mist Tee, which is a pattern by Rowden. And I actually finished this the other day because I gave my mum and my sister little homemade vouchers for it was MyMuddlings at the time, basically Lovebird Lane, which is my my shop, so that they could pick something that I could make for them, and it would be their gift. So mum chose one of these because I've actually knit myself a Morning Mist Tee. So it's got this lace panel at the back, which is super pretty. And then it's just a basic straight up and down tee. And yeah, so I knit myself one. I'll see if I can pop a photo in so that you can see it, but it's grey and purple, my one. And my mum liked that, but they're not her colours. So we got on to Knit Picks one day. This is Knit Picks Cotton, and which is a DK weight cotton and linen blend, and we jumped onto Knit Picks one day and we helped her choose Mum chose her colours, so I ordered the yarn, and I actually started this back in January of this year. So yeah, this is the project that counts for the stash down along, because I have had this yarn in my stash since I think November last year, so just about a year. So yeah, that's Mum's Morning Mist. I think there was about 600 odd yards used in this. I made the size 40 inch, and yeah, I think she's going to be happy with it. She saw it mostly, I basically was nearly finished with this, honestly, because you knit the lace panel first, then you pick up and do the front and then you go in the round on the way down. So I was probably 2/3 the way, at least 2/3 the way through the body. So I literally just had to do like this bit here and then pick up and do the arms and the neckline. So see what I mean? Like, why? Why would I put it down when it's so close to being finished? Like, it literally took me less than a week to get it finished, and I put it down at the start of this year and never picked it up until like, oh, my mum's birthday's next week, or in 2 weeks when I started this again. I better get that finished so I can give it to her, and then she can have another credit for something for next year. So yeah, this is why I need to whip it good. I need to get those whips off the needles and just focus on one project and get them done. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. It hasn't had a block yet, so I've got ends sticking out all over the place. But yeah, I hope she really likes it. She did like what I showed her of it nearly being finished, so fingers crossed she loves it and it fits properly. All right, that's all I had of finished objects, so I guess we can get on to what I've been working on. It's not a ton, I guess. I have been a little bit more, you know, monogamous, as I am intending to be for next year. So, you know, start as you intend to continue. So I have been working on my first edition sweater, which I think I showed you in my last episode, which is another test knit for Dallas Ann Prentice of the Violet Pie. And I'm knitting this out of my own yarns. So I'll show you how far I am. I've got two balls of yarn connected to this, so they may go walkabout as I'm showing you this. But it's basically a V-neck sweater that has a collar picked up from it. It has this contrast, whoop, there they go. They've hit the floor. It has this contrast panel that's textured through the middle, and I'm now working my way down the body. And it has a high-low hem, and I can't actually remember. I know it's got contrast cuffs, neckline. I can't remember whether it's a contrast bottom as well, like hem. But yeah, it's got a high-low hem, and I'm knitting this out of my ARAN base, and it's two fairly new colourways. The main colour here is Aubergine, which, if you follow me on Instagram, started as a disgusting green, which turned into this lovely purpley black with hints of green. And this one's a new one that I made up. I've just named it Violets because it kind of looked like the violet colour card I looked up on Google. So I'm super original with my colour names. But yeah, it's kind of, I'm enjoying it. But it's just stockinette around, so it's perfect for night times when Simon and I are watching some telly. I can just go round and round, and I'm alternating skeins. So as I said, I've got 2 balls attached to this. I have alternated skeins pretty well the whole way through, just to make sure that, because, you know, hand-dyed yarn, the colourways, you know, your individual balls of yarn, as I was mentioning earlier for my dormancy wrap, sometimes they don't come out exactly the same, so it's always a good idea to alternate your skeins. It's not very hard, but it does give you that nice consistent look to your finished object, which is what I like, because I know myself. I ripped out the whole sort of top of my flax light sweater because it was beginning to flash and pull the hand-dyed yarn that I was using, or at least the tonal yarn that I was using. So yeah, that started to flash and pull, so I was definitely like, no. So I've literally re-knit an entire chest top-down sweater because I didn't like the way it was pulling. So I always make the time and the effort to alternate my skeins because I just know that I'm going to be so much happier with them. I mean, you do still, like I can see it here, like there's a little bit of the lighter section that diagonally goes through there. But I mean, you still do get that because obviously your skein every other row is going to be the same. But on the whole, like when you're looking at it by eye, like I don't see those splashes when I'm looking at it just, you know, with my naked eye. So yeah, I always like to make the effort to alternate my skeins just to make sure I don't get that splashing and pulling. So that's how far I am along on that. This is due on the 27th of November, so I'm going to have to get a move on. That's actually just before I go away. Simon and I are having 3 nights away at the end of November, so unfortunately I won't be able to take it with me and finish it on my time away, but I guess I can have a new cast on. Party time when we go away, I'll have a new cast on. So yes, that's my first edition sweater. My next project is a pair of socks, of course, because I always have a pair of socks. I have finished one, and this is Knit Picks Felici, and this is the Steamer Trunk colourway. I initially didn't want to get any of the Felici colours this last time they were released, but of course the ultimate enabler for me anyway, Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast was knitting some Steamer Trunk socks, and yeah, I just saw them knit up and I kind of fell in love with them, so I ordered some. As you do. And then when Knit Picks announced that they had all of the Felici colours for 30% off, I ordered some more. So I initially just got a skein, two balls of this colourway, and then when they had the special on it, I bought 2 more of these because I thought I'm starting Simon's sock wardrobe because, you know, he was pinching my socks this winter. So yeah, I'm starting his sock wardrobe, and I thought these were probably manly enough that I could knit a pair for him and a pair for me. So yeah, I have 2 sets of this yarn in this colourway, and then I bought like a bunch of others. You know, 30% off, guys. It's limited edition. I had to, right? So yeah, got one full sock, and I'll toss that on the floor. And I am just about ready to put in my heel on the second sock. So there it is in the ball. And these are being housed in my very, very lovely Unwind Yarn Company bag. This is my favourite sock knitting bag because it's long enough that I can keep my DPNs for when I get to the toes, and I usually also, I don't have it at the moment, but I usually keep my sock ruler in here as well, which is, you know, fairly long, so I like to use this as my sock knitting bag. So very much like my bag from Dana. Okay, I have one more work in progress, and I will just grab it for you now. So if you follow me on Instagram, you will have already seen a sneaky peek of this, and this is actually a present for my littlest niece who will be turning 1 in January, and it is a So Faded pint size. So how cute is that? And I will be knitting another one for my older niece, and I'm knitting the 4-year size for her because she will be 4 in April. So I started this last Saturday, and it is now Thursday, and because I spent the day with Simon, because Simon volunteers on a rescue boat for his sailing club that he basically has been a part of since he was about 15, so 20 odd years of his life. Yeah, so he helps out on the rescue boat on Saturdays, and the first Saturday of every month they have a family dinner that night, so I decided to go down and spend the day at the sailing club and knit. So I started this, and I was stunning everybody as they were coming back from the race because they were like, oh, look how much you've done. And it's like, yeah, of course, it's a tiny baby sweater. So yeah, I picked out 5 of my own colourways, to knit this from, just to make it extra special. And yeah, I think I'd gotten down, I was down here I think by the end of Saturday night, so I basically did the rest of the body and a sleeve, so I've got another sleeve to go. You don't actually knit the collar as part of the pattern, which I thought was really cool, so because you actually end up getting that higher back section, just so you know, I think a lot of raglan shaped sweaters probably could benefit from having this technique done, where you start going backwards and forwards and then you join in the round, just so you've got that little bit of extra height at the back of the neck. So yeah, I've already put my collar in, so I picked that up and put that in before I started the arm actually. And you know, it's a fade sweater, so of course you need to, you know, do a line of each as you fade it through. But I just hate, like, it's so weird because it's basically alternating skeins, and that's what I was saying that I do, and it's not hard and whatever. But with the thicker yarn that I'm using for my first edition sweater, I seem to have no problem on the joins where I swap the yarns around. But on this, with the lighter yarn, I mean, you probably can't even see it, but it just really kind of bugs me. So you can probably see in the sections where I've just done the blending that they look really uneven, and it kind of was really bugging me that I couldn't get it to be better. I mean, nobody's going to notice. It'll be under the arm. Once I block it, it'll probably all sit flat and perfect anyway, but it was just really bugging me. And the sleeves was worse, honestly, because I ended up knitting the sleeves on DPNs. So I don't know if you can see there. So I ended up knitting them on DPNs, and it was just, it was horrible doing those alternating skeins on the sleeves. And like trying to, I think for the second sleeve, I'm going to actually write down what each row is, because I started getting really confused because I was trying to incorporate the decreases for the sleeve with knowing when I was supposed to be doing my alternating. So it was just getting a little bit much for me, and it was not making it enjoyable to knit, which, when I'm knitting gifts, I like them to be enjoyable, because I would prefer to instill them with good vibes rather than bad vibes. So yeah, this is going to be Piper's little sweater. And as I said, these are all my yarns. These are PEACHFACE fingering base. So the top colour here, this purple, that's called Amethyst, which I have faded into Mystic, faded into Blushing Rose, into experiment number 1, which I'm actually thinking, I called it that because I didn't think that I would ever dye it again, but once I've knit it up, I love the speckliness of it, so it's possible I might dye that up again and call it something. It is actually quite similar to Prismarine, my other colourway. However, Prismarine is brown, whereas this is black speckle, and Prismarine has purple, whereas this has pink. I think it was hot pink. And then into Aubergine, which is the same as my first edition sweater. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I was initially a little bit iffy. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I've got the colours, you know, in stock at the moment for me to make these sweaters, but I had them out on my sewing table, which is just behind the camera, trying all different combinations, that's the word, combinations of colours that to see if I could get something that kind of works. And in the end, I really kind of did, because purple goes into something that's blue with bits of purple, which goes into, you know, pinky purple, which goes into the pink, which goes into this that's got pink in it, and then the black in this goes with the Aubergine. So yes, that's how I made my decisions. And Amelia's is going to be flip colours, so hers will start with the Aubergine and then go down to the Amethyst. And I pretty much chose to do it that way, so each girl has their own unique sweater, so that they're not matchy-matchy, obviously matchy-matchy. And also because Piper is a little bit more of a darker complexion, so she's a little bit more olive skinned with auburn hair, whereas Amelia is fairly pale and she has very blonde hair. So I thought the purple, I don't know, would go really well with Amelia's colour, like, you know, her complexion and hair. So I thought that the warmer sort of greeny, purpley black would work better with Amelia's you know, skin tone, and I thought the purple would be perfect for Piper. Piper would look great in purple. So yeah, that's why I chose the colours the way I did. So that's all I've been working on. Oh, I do have one more thing that I can show you that I did sew, and we'll talk about that. So back in October, the week of my birthday, because my sister-in-law and I are one day apart with our birthdays. We're 4 years apart, but we're one day apart. So she's on the 9th and I'm on the 10th of October. So she ended up having, because she didn't get to have a 30th birthday party last year, so she decided to have a 30+1 party this year. And she had it at the sailing club, because she's the Commodore of Simon Sailing Club, which is basically means that she's the head. So she decided to have it at the sailing club. And as part of that, she decided that she wanted people to dress nautically. So I don't generally do nautical. I'm usually a bit more into more dark grey, black kind of thing, so that I can add pops of colour rather than being in blue and red and white all the time. So, however, I did have some of this fabric. So if you follow me on Instagram, you would have seen that I was stripe matching on my birthday. So yeah, I actually sewed a lot of this on my birthday. I didn't finish it, but I did sew a lot of it on my birthday. Gosh, it's so big though. Let me tell you about the pattern. First of all, this is the MABEL skirt pattern by COLETTE Patterns, and I really, really like this pattern. It was super simple to put together. It's literally, what, 3 or 4 pattern pieces, something really ridiculous, like, because you got 1, 2, the back, and yeah, the 2 waistband pieces, so 5 pieces. And yeah, it was super simple to put together. I sewed it on my overlocker, which is a story in itself. Yeah, but it's actually too big. I made the size, the biggest size, I think. I don't know whether it's in extra large or 18 or whatever it is. But it's weird because it fits me. It's perfect from sort of the hips down, but because of my body shape, I have a small waist and larger hips, and yeah, it's far too big on the top. Like, I probably need to take a good, like, two inches or more off each side for it to actually fit me. So I'm gonna have to, like, run another seam. I'm picking overlocking, as you can probably understand. So I'm just gonna I think run the overlocker back down and taper the top so I can actually wear it. I was not super pleased with how my overlocker worked, because you can see the stitching on the right side, which I'm not super happy with. I don't know if you can see that. So yeah, you can see the overlocking on the right side, and I don't love that. And the overlocker, my overlocker is on its last legs, and I kind of hate it. And as I was using it, the right, what do you call it, the right needle thread, for some reason was looping, and I tried changing the tension and it did absolutely nothing. So basically, where you can see the overlock stitch, one of these flat ones, rather than the ones that loop, one of these flat ones along here was actually creating loops as it went. So on the day of the party, I was sitting at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon pulling the thread through so that it was, you know, basically a straight line of threading and cutting out the extra. So now there are no, turn it inside out so you can see, there are no weird, what's that side even got, yeah, there's no weird loops on my overlocking now. I mean, you can kind of see a little bit just here, like it's kind of, it had these little loops the whole way along, so I've just basically tightened them all up, which was a bit of a slog. It took me a couple of hours to do it, and I was still doing it when Simon got home and wanted to go to the party. But yeah, so I need to, I possibly next time I make it, I could probably make it a size down, honestly, because, you know, it's knit material, it stretches. If it's a little bit snug around my hips, big deal, Simon would probably love it. TMI. So yeah, I think if I'd made this again, I'd probably go down a size. But for this one, I think I'll just whip a seam up the side and leave it at that, because I've been losing weight and it's probably not going to fit me for much longer, so whatever. And I've got tons of this fabric left, so it's going to be very easy for me to remake it. So that was a bit of sewing, which is not something that you see very often on this podcast. I do want to get into it more though. So yeah, so hopefully you'll see some more sewing on the podcast sooner or later. And just to finish off today, I thought I would do a little bit of announcement for Lovebird Lane Yarns. I am doing some Christmas kits, which I'm super late on this year. Last year, I actually had a memory come up on Facebook telling me that I had them listed on the 2nd of November last year. And now, what did I say? It was the 10th or the 11th of November, and I still haven't got them done. But I'm hoping to have them listed early next week. I've been so busy trying to get these done, and I'm driving myself mad. Yesterday I made myself really angry because I couldn't sew zippers anymore, and I had to keep unpicking things, which was really annoying. But yes, so I put it aside and I will be finishing them. I will probably do a listing early next week, and I will have them put up as a pre-order. I mean, everything is virtually all done. I need to dye some more of the self-striping yarn, which will be included, but I have 2 ready to go of each colourway. So yeah, I'll probably put them up as a pre-order and then get them out within the next couple of weeks after that. So anyway, let me show you what I have. I have my 2 mini skein cakes in my hand, but what I will do, I will grab the bags first. I'll show you the bags. So I'm going to have 2 options for bags. Now these aren't quite finished. I still need to sew up the bottoms and put ties in these ones in particular. These are the drawstring bags that I make. So I'm going to have 2 designs. I'm going to have rugged up woodland animals is what I'm calling it, and that's got like a grey snowflake contrasting fabric inside. So I actually really love these. I'm going to keep one of these for myself, this fabric, because I don't have any Christmas bags, so I'm going to keep one of these for myself. And then I'm going to have a gingerbread house, which has the Christmas tree lining in it. So those will be drawstring bags, which they still need their ties, clearly. I'm going to have 2 of each available. And I will also have these larger zip bags. So they're the same contrasting lining. Zippered bags with little handle. I'll put key rings in them. Just box bottom. These are probably pretty good. These would actually almost be like a fingering weight sweater size. They're actually quite big. They're not quite as big as what I call my sweater zipper pouches or zipper bags, but they are very big. So I've got the woodland animals with grey zips, and I'll have gingerbread house with orange zips. So yes, like I said, the kit will contain one of those. I'm going to have 2 of each, so 2 of each colourway per design, so 8 bags in total, if that makes sense. And they will all come with some self-striping yarn, so I have my 2 colourways here. And I'm still not 100% sure which goes with which, because, yeah, I'm a bit torn and they are stuck together. So yeah, I'm not sure which colourways will go with which bags. I'm thinking that this one may go with the woodland animals, because it's just more that same colour tone. I haven't really named this yet. I'm thinking I might call it like cookies and milk, perhaps. for obvious reasons. So it's basically a brown and a white and like a pink with a very subtle speckle. So I think this will go with the Woodland Animals kit. And my other colourway is, I'm calling this Festive. So it's basically this really nice burgundy red with a multi-speckled stripe. And that will probably go with Gingerbread House Bag. And along with that, I will be including a mini skein. So that goes with the Cookies and Milk colourway, and this one goes with Festive. So you'll get a mini skein that's coordinating, whoop, nearly dropped them, and a set of stitch markers with a Christmas project keeper. So yeah, I'm hoping I'll probably have those listed early next week. If you want updates, definitely follow along on my Instagram at Lovebird Lane. You will find all the updates there. So I will have, probably early next week, I'll have 2 of each kit available. Sorry, 1 of each kit available for immediate shipping, but the rest will be made. But I'll list it as a pre-order just so that nobody gets upset that things are a little bit slower. But do know that they are all in various stages of being ready, and they will not take very long. They won't take my regular 2 weeks. So yeah, that's my Christmas kits. And I guess I could talk a little bit about blather. I know last time I spoke to you guys, I was having tests for a mass that was found in one of my breasts. And I told you about an FNA that I had, which is a fine needle aspiration, which means they put a needle in, they take some cells, they get them tested. And I got a phone call that there was nothing found from my doctor. But then she called me back and said they've put an addendum on your file and recommended that you have it done again because they didn't think that they had enough samples. So I went back and I had to have another FNA done, which again came back inconclusive. So basically I was told again, we think we might want to move to a core biopsy. So then I'm thinking, oh God. So I had to have an appointment with a breast surgeon, and he looked at my file, and between him and his radiologist, we could hear them through the door discussing my results. They decided that I should never have even had the second FNA. It should have stopped after the first one because the type of lesion that I had, which was described as a 3C, they're expecting to have nothing come back. So he thinks that it was an overzealous pathologist who was making the recommendation for me to keep going back. So yeah, I was basically subjected to, 2 or 3 weeks of not knowing whether I was sick or not, wasting, the time of all of these doctors and specialists who could have been helping people who actually are sick. So I was a little bit annoyed about that. Time, money, stress, emotions, wasted time that could be used on people who really need it. So yeah, I was a little bit annoyed, but on the upside, I am fine. There is nothing wrong with me. So yeah, other than having slightly high cholesterol, which apparently I have. But other than that, I'm fighting fit, so there was no need to worry. So yeah, that was quite a thing. So at least I know that everything's all good. My boobs have been thoroughly poked and prodded and tested, and clearly there's nothing there because they would have found it, so that's good to know. Seeing as I'm 35 now, I'm sort of getting on a little bit. It's time that I need to kind of start really focusing on my health. But basically they've told me that the issues that I was having with my breasts and the the lesion that they found, it's just basically as a result of getting older. So there you go, I'm getting old, guys. But yeah, so other than that, there's not really been a lot happening. It took me a while. I had a stage there, which is partly why I hadn't podcasted, was because that whole thing kind of threw me for a loop and I didn't know how I felt about it. And I mean, I was fairly confident that I was fine, honestly. It's just, you know, how you sometimes just get that instinct that you feel like things are okay and that you're just going to do it because, you know, it's better to be safe than sorry. And yeah, I felt that I was okay. I didn't really want to have the test done, but like everybody said to me, we'd rather you get it done so we know definitely not, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I went through a stage where I just didn't want to talk, which is why I haven't been podcasting, because I didn't know how I felt about it. I was kind of, I can't even articulate what the feeling was. I just didn't want to talk, didn't feel myself, quite out of sorts. Because even though consciously I wasn't really thinking about it, I just kind of kept forgetting about it until I realised that I had appointments. I think somewhere in my subconscious I was probably still mulling it over. So yeah, in the end it's all fine. I'm fine. I'm continuing on with the only meal plan that I've found is actually helping me to lose weight, and that is low carb. So unfortunately I've had to forego my vegetarianism, which really bugs me, because I don't want to be cooking 2 meals every night, and Simon is allergic to eggs, he's allergic to soy, so I can't make tofu for my protein, I can't make eggs in our dinners for my protein. So I've had to go back to eating meat. I'm still trying to only keep that down to perhaps 2 or 3 times a week. I still try and keep it on the down low, because I don't like eating the meat. It's not that I don't like the meat, I do like the meat, but I would rather be vegetarian, shall we say. But vegetarianism has a lot of carbs in it. So, you know, because you bulk up your meals with pasta and rice and that sort of thing. And I've been struggling to find low carb meals that are, you know, high in protein but have no eggs or soy. So yeah, that's something, but I am losing weight. I went off the wagon for a little while and I put on all but 2 kilos of what I'd lost. I had lost about 6 kilos and I put on another 4. But yeah, I'm back onto it this week. As I said earlier, I've been walking the dog a lot. It is getting warmer now, so as the pavement gets hotter, I won't be able to take him out because I don't want to burn his feet, because I know, I think I mentioned on the last podcast, it doesn't get cool overnight here. If it's a hot day, we tend to have, you know, a hot night. We don't get that cool sort of change coming through every night. So by morning, the ground is still quite hot. And I know that if I can't hold my hand to the concrete, he can't put his paws on there because it's just too hot. So I don't know how long I'll be able to take Granger for walks, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to go for walks without him, because he's probably going to kick up a fuss about that. But yeah, I've been walking, I've been following my low carb plan. I started again this week, so hopefully I'll start losing weight again. But yeah, I was going really well. I did it for a month and I lost 6 kilos. So I know that it works, and I know that it clearly works for my metabolism and my lifestyle. So yeah, that's something I want to keep pursuing. Clearly I've had a haircut as well. I didn't talk about that. I did that last week. I was really hot with all of that hair that I had, because although I have very fine hair, I have a lot of it. Like, it's huge amount of hair on this head, which gets really, really hot. So I went and I was actually going to cut it quite short, but my old hairdresser left, so I didn't have hair there. But the new hairdresser said, no, that sort of hairstyle doesn't do you any favours, because I showed her some old photos of me with short hair, and she's like, no, she's like, I think we'll go with a bob, which I was happy to start with. I was happy to start with a bob and then maybe chop it all off later, but I'm actually quite happy with it how it is right now. It's quite a blunt bob, which is kind of something that I've been digging lately on certain starlets. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with my hair. It's a lot cooler. Obviously I still get hot because I don't like the heat, and I feel it quite badly. probably because I'm big, but as I lose weight, hopefully that'll get better. But yeah, so I cut my hair. Simon cut his hair because his hair was really long. And I'm so glad that he did cut it, because it just wasn't, it wasn't doing it for me, let's just say. That long hair, no. He was almost at the point where he could do a ponytail, and it was just like, and his rationale was, well, Thor got his hair cut, so I guess I can get my hair cut. That's the comic book loving husband, or at least the Marvel movie loving husband that I have. So yeah, Simon got his hair cut, I got my hair cut. We went to work because I think I mentioned last episode I've started cleaning the office at Simon's work on Friday afternoon, so I have to work later today. And yeah, like he'd obviously gone in because we got it done on the Thursday night. He went in the morning and had all his hair cut off, and then I cut in at about 1:30, and they're like, oh, it was family haircut night last night, was it? And it's like, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty good. It's good to have some more money coming in, which is fantastic. So yeah, I think that's really all that's been happening. Not much else has been happening. I think I'm going to have a bit of a knitcation next week. I think I'm going to get those Christmas kits completed and listed and take the rest of the week off, because I'm getting really burned out a little bit, and my therapist was very clear that I should not let myself get burned out. So I think next week's going to be a bit of a knitcation, so I should have a lot more to show you next week. I'm very excited about having a little bit of a break. And yeah, so I think that's about it. Remember, if you love the podcast, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up, just so we can get a little bit more exposure over on YouTube. And of course, if you really love it, maybe share it with your friends and let them know about it. That would be awesome. And I would appreciate it so much. But yes, I think that will do for now. It's probably still quite long. Thank you for sticking with me this far, if you're still here. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful week. Happy crafting. And I will catch you all next week. Fingers crossed. I will make it happen. Thanks for watching, folks. See ya.